It's the Buckeye Blitz. I am Tito, Jeff Goodall. Follow me on Twitter at @FitHappens. We are on FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. Again, follow me on Twitter. We got a lot to get into today with the Buckeyes, and we are inside of 7 weeks, or a little more than 6 weeks now, for Ohio State, Indiana to kick off the NFL, the college football season for Ohio State. We are inside of, we got about 5 weeks until we have the start of the college football season with the week 0 thing they do. With some meaningless games, but Notre Dame and Navy is probably the biggest one on the docket there. I think USC is also playing San Jose State, but nonetheless, let's get into the Buckeye talk now. And Ohio State recently announced 14 new members into the Ohio State Athletics Hall of Fame. The class includes a few football players: Malcolm Jenkins, one of the best defensive backs ever to play for Ohio State; Nick Mangold, the center for Ohio State, went on to have a very long NFL career playing for the Jets primarily. Rick Middleton, a football player from Ohio State as well, who played in the Woody era. Kelsey Mitchell, women's basketball standout, and she also just had her first WNBA All-Star Game appearance this past weekend. She's going as well. Tom Ryan, the wrestling coach, among others. But there's a couple I wanted to highlight that maybe you didn't know about. Rick Middleton, by the way, played from 71 to 73 with Ohio State. But a couple of people that are on this list, though, that I found very interesting. First, let's talk about Kelsey Mitchell, because her accomplishments. She was the fastest player in Big Ten history to get to 1,000 career points. When she retired, when she left Ohio State, she was the all-time leader in three-pointers made in the NCAA with 497. Which was 92 better than the previous record holder. 4-time first team All Big Ten, 2015 Big Ten Freshman of the Year, and now playing for the Indiana Fever. Like I said, she was an all-star this past weekend. But Renee Powell is getting inducted into the Ohio State Athletics Hall of Fame, and she's a former women's golfer. And what's interesting about her story now, and this, all the stuff I got from OhioStateBuckeyes.com, you can go find it and look at all the bios of the 14 people that are going in. I think there's now almost 500 people going to be in the Ohio State Athletics Hall of Fame that was started in 1977. Renee Powell, though, her father, Bill, was the first African-American to design, build, and own his own golf course in the United States, which I found very interesting. And he also coached her. He coached Renee Powell. Renee Powell started at Ohio University down in Athens, and then for a couple years she was there. But she became she was distressed by the fact that when they traveled, the golf team did not take her with them because they were afraid about some racial tension. Again, this is according to OhioStateBuckeyes.com. So she left OU after 2 years, came to Ohio State, was named captain of the Ohio State team in 1967, and the first black student athlete to lead a major university golf team. She did play 4 times for Ohio State. She won the Worcester College Invitational, the North-South Amateur, was second in the Midwest Collegiate Tournament, and third at the Women's National Collegiate Tournament. So then she turns pro, and she was the second black woman to ever play on the LPGA Tour. The first one to play in the British men's professional golf tournament. She played at the Surrey PGA Championship, and she ended up doing so many great things after that. She competed more than 200 events, retired in 1980, and she became the head pro of the family golf course in East Canton, Ohio, Clearview Golf Club. That was the one her father designed. So one of the ones her father designed, I should say. And she's in the PGA of America Hall of Fame along with her father, and they were the first father-daughter pair to go into the PGA of America Hall of Fame. So interesting story about her, and I don't think it gets probably publicized enough by Ohio State. So when things like this happen, I can read that. I want to pass it on to Buckeye fans because it is really a cool story. Go back and look it up again. Her name is Renee Powell, women's golf, 1967 with Ohio State, and again the first African-American. The first black student athlete to lead a major university's golf team. So anyway, she's going to the Hall of Fame. Also another one then, Joe Roberts. Now, Joe Roberts was a 3-year letter winner for Ohio State, played under Fred Taylor, played on the 1960 basketball championship team, and he was the first African-American captain in program history for Ohio State. So he's co-captains of the 1959-60 team that won the national title and went 25-3. He was on the same team with Bobby Knight, John Havlicek, and Jerry Lucas. So he ended up playing in the NBA and the ABA passed away back in 2022 at the age of 86. But go ahead and look at it. It's really cool. It's a neat thing that the OhioStateBuckeyes.com does, where they go through and they put all bios for everybody on those 14 players that are 14 former 14 athletes and coaches are going in. I say coaches because Tom Ryan, also the wrestling coach for Ohio State since 2007, he's going in as well. Had a lot of success there so far. Still a coach at Ohio State for wrestling, but he is going in as well. A couple of Buckeyes are in consideration for the College Football Hall of Fame class of 2024. James Laurinaitis, the current grad assistant coach for Ohio State, who was a 3-time first-team All-American, 2-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and he did obviously one of the greatest linebackers in Ohio State history. Won the 2007 Butkus Award. Led Ohio State in tackles 3 straight seasons. Had a long NFL career too with the Rams. So primarily with the Rams. But James Laurinaitis also, he's being considered for the class 2024. Also Chris Ward, the Ohio State offensive tackle who blocked for Archie Griffin. And he was a consensus All-American in 1976, unanimous in 1977. Again, first-team All-American there, 3-time first-team All-Big Ten. And the Buckeyes had a share of 4 conference titles in his time there. So both of those guys are being considered for the College Football Hall of Fame. Last one I want to get into is the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, announced 60 members that are semifinalists in the seniors and coaches contributors categories for the class of 2024. So what they basically do is there's 31 players that were named by the seniors committee. There's a 12-person seniors committee and a 12-person coach contributor committee, and 31 semifinalists got named for the seniors committee, and then another 29 in the coach contributor area there. And the players, former Buckeyes who were in that, what happens, by the way, is now they whittle it down again. We get to the finals, they'll get to 25 finalists, and then they will end up whittling it down between the 2 committees. They could have up to 3 that they will then send to the final voting process by the regular, if you would, Hall of Fame committee. So still some ways to go, but 60 names were thrown out there, and 2 former Buckeyes, one Randy Gradishar. Randy Gradishar played linebacker for Ohio State, one of the first great linebackers for Ohio State. You can look at like Gradishar in the Hayes era, and then it goes on to like a Marcus Merrick type thing. Spielman and Pepper Johnson are in that. Katzenmoyer. Then you got the A.J. Hawk, Carpenter, Laurinaitis, those guys. The run of linebackers, though, through Ohio State, though, Randy Gradishar, one of the first ones to really stand out. And then he went and had a big NFL career with the Denver Broncos, played on their Orange Crush defense, which I always love that nickname. Played for the Denver Broncos, Orange Crush defense for 10 years. All-Pro 7 times, and Pro Bowl 7 times, not All-Pro, big difference. Pro Bowl 7 times, and also led them to the Super Bowl, a big part of their defense. They played with Tom Jackson, who you remember from ESPN, used to do prime time with Chris Berman for a long time. But anyway, Gradishar was on that team. They went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Cowboys 27-10. Red Miller was their coach, but great NFL career for him as well. He is one of those 31 of the senior players. Other one, Jim Marshall. Jim Marshall from Columbus East High School. And Marshall left before his senior year. I didn't know that at Ohio State. I found this out also, but he left before his senior year, played in the CFL for a year. Then he was traded to the Browns in like a CFL NFL transaction. I didn't know about that. He played with the Browns in 1960 and then was traded to the Vikings. And then for some picks in the 1962 NFL draft. He played until 1979. He had a record at the time, 232 straight games played, was on the he did start 282 straight games, 282 was the number he had, which was a record until punter Jeff Fiegels broke it, which shouldn't count. A damn punter shouldn't count consecutive games played. Anyway, Marshall did start 270 straight games, and that record stood until Brett Favre broke that one. Marshall, 2-time Pro Bowler, and part of that Vikings Purple People Eaters defense, which was just phenomenal. At him had Carl Eller at the other defensive end. They were both defensive ends, Marshall and Carl Eller. Alan Page and Gary Larson were the defensive tackles. He had 127 sacks, second most in team history behind Eller. And when he retired, this is what's interesting to me. When he retired in 1979, Jim Marshall had played every single game in Vikings history. So cool thing there. We'll find out more about him if he and if Gradishar, as they whittle down the voting process, we'll keep you posted on that to see if they get in the Hall of Fame. Both are worthy of it, but the Pro Football Hall of Fame is very selective on these things. And again, they're going to take at most 3 total to advance them to a final vote. So there's a chance none will get in. There's also a chance up to 3 people could get in among the coach contributor. And not that this is Buckeye related, but Ken Anderson of the Bengals, not in the Hall of Fame yet. He is one of the finalists as well. I'm shocked that Ken Anderson's not in the Hall of Fame yet. I would think he would have been by now. So anyway, look, we're getting close to Ohio State football season. Lots more to talk about. We're going to talk tomorrow. I got an interesting note about Marvin Harrison Jr. to share with you on the next show that I do. But this has been the Buckeye Daily Blitz. Again, I'm Jeff Goodall. Follow me on Twitter. You can follow me at It Happens, where I'm at. Thanks so much for spending time with us here. FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. This has been the Buckeyes Daily Blitz.